Good morning.
Good
Welcome
morning.
to a new week on Conversations with Dr. Johnson. I hope you're joining us from wherever you are, dead or alive. Some dead people who have been watching.
So today this will be a near-death experience for them?
I think so. Some people who've been living with TMJ without knowing what it was. So let me introduce Dr. Johnson, our medical director. You all know who I am. I'm the terrible one, and he's the good one. And so we are going to talk today about TMJ.
Yes, yes.
Talk to us, Dr. Johnson. You love this subject.
Okay, so TMJ, temporomandibular joint, your jaw joint, okay? And when we say someone has TMJ, what we're really saying is they have temporomandibular joint dysfunction. So TMJD is actually more technically correct. So what in the world is this? Well, there are two issues with TMJ. There's a condition called acute TMJ, which is extremely painful and disabling, and fortunately it's very rare. What we're talking about today is chronic TMJ, which usually doesn't cause that much pain, maybe a little, but it's extremely common. I would estimate that well over 50%, maybe close to 80% of the patients I see have some degree of chronic TMJ.
So let me stop you at the acute part of it.
Yes,
So Dr. Feldman yesterday when I met him was saying that's why boxers
yes,
go out cold with that one punch.
yes,
Because the nerve connection just knocks them out completely.
yes,
And most of them need a repair
Yes.
to that whole architecture. So that's what you're calling acute.
yes.
Where there's an injury or concoction or some injury to the head.
Yes, when I worked at the trauma center for 10 years,
Yeah.
we would get these acute TMJ patients coming in at 2 or 3 in the morning. They'd been out drinking, they'd gotten into a bar fight, somebody punched them or maybe pushed them and they fell and hit this, and they had acute TMJ.
And sometimes you go totally unconscious, right? Because of the blood connection to the brain.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, yes.
So that's acute. So
Yeah.
you could get it from accidents or things that happen.
Yes,
And then the chronic
chronic.
is what you were explaining, that almost 50% of the people have it or more.
Yes.
And so how do we know we have it?
Well, most people that have chronic TMJ are shocked to learn that they have it. They don't have any idea. The things that might indicate you have TMJ are noises or sounds coming from your jaw
When
joint
you're eating or just moving your
or talking,
or talking, and you'll be hearing noise
grinding or clicking or popping or something like that.
of the jaw. You'll be
Yes.
hearing those sounds.
Yes, right here.
Is that for people who it's extreme? Because I don't hear those sounds, but I have it.
Well, usually those are more severe cases, but
Yes.
it can happen to anybody with chronic TMJ. So, what is actually going on? Well, if you think of this jaw joint as a ball and socket, okay, there's a disc that lays over the top of this ball to cushion it where it goes up into the socket.
Yes.
Okay. Now, in acute TMJ, this disc slips virtually all the way off. Okay,
yes.
and there's a very important cranial nerve running right here, and this disc puts a lot of pressure on it, and that can cause a lot of pain.
Okay.
To the point that it's actually disabling.
Okay.
People can't talk, they can't eat, they can't chew.
And he was talking about migraines and just
Yes,
pain,
and that's for the chronic.
and that's for the chronic.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in chronic TMJ,
yes.
this disc slips off part way, just enough to put a little bit of pressure on this important cranial nerve, not enough to cause pain in most cases, but nevertheless there are irritation signals traveling down this nerve that are below our level of awareness.
Okay.
Now, a little further back in the neck, there's a tight channel where this important cranial nerve, along with several other ones, are bundled together like electrical wires.
Yes.
And when nerves are bundled that tightly together, almost without exception, some of these irritation signals jump the track.
Yeah.
Okay?
So I'm thinking that my TMJ came from eating bones.
Well,
Chicken bones.
it's very possible. Sure.
Yeah, because I put a lot of pressure
Yes.
on my teeth.
Yes.
Oh, I used to open beer bottles with my teeth also.
Yeah, and now you're paying the price. See, drinking is bad for you.
No. All right. right. So, Dr. Johnson, we're going to do a demonstration.
Yes.
A simple demonstration that you
Yes.
did on me.
Yes.
And that's how I discovered this. And we have a volunteer, Grace, our clinician, is going to join us. And Grace, come, welcome.
Okay.
So Dr. Johnson is going to do that demonstration on Grace.
So what do we look for? Open your mouth. Okay, so her mouth doesn't open as wide as we would normally want it to, ideally.
So are you sure, Grace? You thought you were opening wide, right? But it's not wide enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want you eating people on the street, Grace.
Yeah. Now, commonly, not always, commonly there's some tenderness of the muscles up around the joint. In her
Yeah.
case, that's not true.
Yeah.
I look at the lower teeth,
Yeah.
and instead of being perfectly straight, they're slightly crowded together.
Yeah.
Most people with chronic TMJ have crowded lowers.
Yeah.
So I diagnose a lot of TMJ in stores walking down the sidewalk
Yes.
when I see these lower teeth. Hers are crowded very, very slightly, but it's
Yeah.
still enough to point in that direction. And the tops of the lower teeth tend to show a little more wear than you would normally expect. Okay?
And he also said the top ones tend to protrude out
Yes.
when the jaw is out of
Yes.
that joint, junction.
Yes. So people at home, if they've got any pain or sounds here, if they can't open their mouth quite as much,
As wide as mine.
well, you're a freak of nature, Charles.
Mine is even constrained. It should go wider.
Yeah.
Right?
Now some
So you
people,
can get the whole steak in.
some
Oh, the
people,
whole McDonald's. You know those people who can eat McDonald's like totally, completely, right?
Yeah.
One go, ow.
some people with chronic TMJ will have hard lumps under their tongue. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Grace doesn't have that,
Yes.
but some people do.
Yes.
And in fact, when we see that, that's a tip-off that this patient almost certainly has chronic TMJ.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to do a balance test on Grace, okay?
Yes.
So turn right here. I want your feet this far apart. I want your arms like this, elbows in, hands out slightly. I want you to be stiff as a board. Now, I'm going to try to push you over, and you stay strong and don't let that happen, okay? Be strong. Okay, other side. Okay, now, do we have some tongue blades?
Right there.
Right here? Okay. So we're going to open up and stabilize the jaw joint a little bit by having her bite on these two sticks. Open. Bite. Okay, repeat the test. Feet, there you go. Okay. Be strong.
Grace is the Hulk.
Now, I was pushing dramatically harder the second time.
Yes.
And
And I'm shocked. Grace was like,
she was solid,
Grace, wow, you could take my punch and be standing.
solid as a rock.
Yeah, with those sticks in you, right?
Now, what happened? Why
Thank you, Grace.
why
Thank you.
why did that test work the way it did? Well, I told you that an important cranial nerve is here. It gets irritated. It's in close contact with several other important cranial nerves. So what do these other cranial nerves do? Well, they play a role in regulating our breathing, our heartbeat, our blood pressure, our digestion, and our balance. So the very first time I did this test with Grace, the nerve that she relies on to be balanced and stable couldn't do its job 100%. It was distracted by these irritation signals.
Yes.
And putting the sticks in her mouth opened up and stabilized the jaw joint just enough to remove that irritation, and instantly she was rock solid stable.
Wonderful.
Now, I put two sticks in her mouth. What I sometimes find in more severe cases of TMJ is two sticks doesn't do the trick, so I put a third one in. If that doesn't do the trick, I put a fourth one in.
So you're giving it just opening to release the tension on
Exactly,
those nerves.
exactly.
So yesterday when I went to Dr. Feldman,
Feld, Dr. Feld.
Dr. Feld,
Yes.
yes. Great recommendation.
Yes.
Quite a pleasant gentleman. Has more than 10 fellowships.
Oh yeah,
He's
he's got more.
overqualified.
He's got more training than any dentist I've ever
I
met.
mean, it was amazing. And so the first thing was they did an X-ray.
Yes.
And then he identified there's a lot of crookedness in my teeth.
Yes.
And then I went in for the balance test. He did a more pronounced testing
a
around.
more sophisticated version.
Yes, of that balance test.
Yes.
And I failed dreadfully. And so then at that point, that was about $100. At that point, he asked whether I wanted to go for the more
Complete?
serious screening.
Yes. Yes.
Which cost about $600.
Yeah.
And so that takes about 2 hours. So
Yes.
I went further for that.
Yeah, he's very thorough.
And I went through about 4 machines.
Okay.
There's one where they take pictures of my profile, of me standing.
Yes.
And they want to see my posture.
Yes. People with chronic TMJ almost always have some posture issues.
Yeah, so
almost
they took
always.
pictures of my posture, and then they did those tests where they put some things into my ear to balance my head, and then I had to open my mouth wide, close, left, right,
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
It's quite painful because she said I should open it until it is painful.
Yeah.
So they wanted to really see how much my mouth could open.
Yeah.
And so I went. I mean, it was tough actually. Sometimes I forgot the commands. And then they also took a indentation of my teeth and
Yes.
everything.
Yes.
And so I have a review, a consultative review with him in another 2 weeks,
Okay.
and then he's going to make a treatment recommendation after reviewing all of that.
Excellent.
I found it very, very interesting because he was asking if I snore
Yes.
and if I have sleep apnea. So I said I snore sometimes. He said that's a lie. That from what he can see, I must snore all the time, and I must have sleep apnea.
Yeah, and that's another symptom patients can look at. If you snore, odds are very high that you have chronic TMJ.
Yes.
And if you snore, odds are also high that you have sleep apnea.
Yes, and so he said definitely I do, and he said the long-term effects of that, and he wanted me to read all his research papers, but I was going to let you start telling us what are the long-term effects of not treating TMJ appropriately.
Well, weight gain is common to the point of obesity, and then you can develop diabetes, high blood pressure.
It's amazing, just from TMJ.
Yes.
You have weight gain that you cannot lose weight.
Yes.
That must be my problem.
Yes. Well, when you have TMJ and sleep apnea, your body is always struggling to get oxygen during your sleep.
Yeah, but it's interesting because when I test my oxygen when I'm playing tennis, it's really good. And so he did, now you remind me, he did the light and night test.
Yes.
And I failed on the night test.
I'm sure you did.
Yes, and I didn't know that there was a difference between the parasympathetic and the sympathetic response and the oxygen utilization during sleep. So talk to us about that. Very interesting.
Okay. So if you have TMJ, odds are you have sleep apnea. If you have sleep apnea, your body is not getting enough oxygen. Sleep apnea is when you temporarily stop breathing during your sleep. Okay. Now, some people will wake up in the middle of the night gasping for air. Most people that have this issue are blissfully unaware of it.
Yeah.
But if your bloodstream is not carrying adequate oxygen, what do you suppose your body's response is? Well, we've got to push this blood through the circuit faster.
Yes.
We've got to make your blood pressure go up. And so hypertension is commonly associated with this.
Wow, that's amazing. And I have all those things.
Now, these can be associated with strokes, with dementia, with Alzheimer's, probably with Parkinson's. I haven't seen the conclusive research for that
That's
yet.
what he was saying.
But
That there's a
probably
lot
with
of new
Parkinson's.
papers
Yes.
coming out on that subject.
Yes.
Just the consequence of TMJ.
Yes.
This is shocking to me. Because I didn't know I had it.
Right.
But I'm shocked as to the impact it can have on your health and lifestyle.
It's foundational. Yes, it's very important.
Wow.
It's a big deal.
So we're going to conclude this section. I know it was technical, but you have to come here and get tested so we can send you to the right dentist. Most dentists, as you would confirm, are ignorant.
Well, they just aren't taught this in dental school. And, you know, the nature of knowledge is we don't know what we don't know.
Exactly.
And so I'm not trying to insult dentists. I'm just saying they haven't been trained, and so they just
don't have the knowledge. So calling somebody ignorant is fine because they just don't have the knowledge.
I prefer uneducated.
Oh, wow. That's even painful, more painful. Because if you call me a black man uneducated, it's like punishment. Yes, yes. I would accuse you of other things too. So was there questions?
A couple questions.
Yes.
First question, if you're the man from the source, how do you have crooked teeth?
Well,
Should your teeth be from perfect?
Because I have been eating earth material and I had to be with you guys so I could look like you. Even though I'm from source. I came perfectly made, but I had to look like the commoners.
Got it. Second question, if you have sleep, so you had made a comment that talking about sleep apnea and snoring.
Yes.
So, could it be concluded that if you have sleep apnea and or snore, then most likely you have TMJ?
That is a very logical conclusion. There's not 100% correlation, but yes. Now, I'll say one more important thing about that. If a medical doctor diagnoses you with sleep apnea, they're going to prescribe CPAP, which is this medieval torture device that you wear over your nose and mouth, strapped around your head, hooked to some tubing.
And there's no way you can have sex at night with a CPAP on.
Well, not unless your lady is into some very weird stuff.
Right, because it's like you're wearing a spacesuit to go to sleep, and the woman is like, "Where can I kiss you?" You can't even see your face.
On the floor.
So, when Dr. Fell diagnosed me with sleep apnea, it was severe, and he said, "Okay, you're going to have a CPAP." And I said, "There's no way." I said, "What are my other options?" And he said, "Well, now that you've refused it, I can make you a night guard that you can wear on your teeth at night, and that will hold your jaw forward and keep your airway open, and it works like a charm."
Wow.
So you have to deny.
And that was it.
That was it.
And you use that every night.
Well, unless I get so involved in something else that I forget.
Yeah, hey. So you have some off nights, right? You're like, "Okay, I'm off tonight, the mouth guard." All right, go ahead, Karen.
Can someone live with TMJ without having it resolved?
Well, you can certainly live with it. I mean, you can live with any medical condition. Now, is it in your best interest to do that? No, it's not, because down the line it can lead to some very serious health consequences. So we definitely do not recommend that.
Yes.
But
and we never know which one is going to show up, whether it's dementia, Alzheimer's, or all the other consequences.
Yes.
For already I have high blood pressure. I struggle to lose weight.
Yes.
And I know that I snore.
Yeah.
The strange thing was, he was asking me whether when I sleep, do I wake up refreshed? I actually do. But if I am snoring and I have sleep apnea, there's no way I'm getting enough oxygen during my sleep.
correct.
And therefore, it's interesting. So I'm on track to get that fixed. But interesting you said that I have to first reject the CPAP
Yes.
before he can provide the alternative treatment.
Well, if you have mild to moderate sleep apnea,
Yes.
he can just go ahead and prescribe that for you. If it's
Yes.
severe, he is legally required to refer you for CPAP. But if you refuse it, then he can
Move to the next step.
give you an alternative.
Okay. Any more questions?
That is it.
All right. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Dr. Johnson.
My pleasure.
A really rewarding and interesting conversation. Like us, love us, and follow us, and know that we love you, and we want to take away and crush your TMJ.
And if you have health topics that you would like us to cover in the future, let us know,
Yes.
and we'll be happy to do so.
Any topic. Nothing is out of bounds, right?
Nothing's out of bounds.
All right. Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Johnson. Another Conversations with Dr. Johnson. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. That was awesome.